Sky Cable TV Kenya. Beyond the Real.
Hi viewers, my name is Susan Muita with True Living Show, which airs via Sky Cable TV. Welcome back on this show of True Living. Today we'll talk about having a journal. We can call it a True Living Show journal. So I know previously on this show we have been talking about medical things, about how to live a life better. And today we'll talk about of how we can make things simple. What I mean by making things simple is knowing ourselves. Just like in the past we have said, I know how much I have in the bank. I know about my house. I know about my family. So, in the past, we have not been knowing about our medical, in other terms, our health or how we are living. So, on today's show, we will talk of keeping a journal. In the past, when I was young, I would go to a doctor and the doctor would give me a card. And that card will have, like my name, why am I visiting the doctor, or why am I visiting a nutritionist, or whatever specialty I'm visiting. So for this one, it's just like you transfer that card to yourself. Or right now, we usually go to a doctor and then, or to, any medical facility, if you are visiting it because of something, and then they keep their own records. So they have the history, they have your name, they have your age, they know why you are coming. So, but the one I'm talking about, which, we'll be talking about on this topic, we'll be talking of having your own journal. So what do you think should be on your own journal? First of all, have a journal of your own. I have created my own. So have a journal. Just write your name on top of it. Have section and section and sections. And we'll be talking about these sections one by one, so that at least even when you are traveling, if you are going to your doctor, if you are going to any specialty, let's say you are going to a therapist, you are going to a nutritionist, you are going to all types of doctors, or even for your own good, even for your own family, to have an idea of your own health. It's a good thing to have. So this journal should include, first of all, have a journal which says my name, like the one I have for my own. It says Susan Muita. Then have the details of when were you born. So have an age of that. And it's always good to start it. Even if you don't have some of the details, you can be inserting them later, or you can ask for help for somebody to be helping you put whatever it is. So we have just talked of a journal where you have your name, your date of birth, which will also give your age. Then it should also have your blood group. So are you A? Are you AB? Are you O? Are you O positive? Are you O negative? Have that. And if you don't know your blood group, just leave it there open. So when you go to your doctor, you can ask them if they ever did any blood work in the past. Or you can donate blood somewhere, and that way they will be able to tell you, blood group this. Because there are people who, according to their age, maybe they are 30 years, they are 20 years, they are 40 years, they are 50 years, and yet they do not know their blood group. Although nowadays, majority of people, they know their blood group. Or some, they know A, B. or I'm A positive, I'm A negative. There are some people who don't know their blood group. It is usually good to know your blood group, just in case you need blood quickly. I know if you need blood quickly, there is no way doctors or whatever, they can just give you blood until they are sure that is your blood group. But let's say you have this journal with you and something happened and you need blood quickly. So you'll be able to be given your blood easily, or after you are checked, they can be able to get blood easily. And I'm not talking of people who, they are in areas where like you go to a hospital, they can be able to do it quickly. I'm talking of places where like rural areas in other countries where, like a third world place where you have to travel places to get your blood. So if you have this journal, let's say you travel somewhere far or to an outside country, and you have this journal and you already know your blood group. So if you travel there and you need an emergency, and God forbid you will not do that, but it's easier when you have a journal. You can just grab it and give medical personnel, or give it to your doctor or to whoever. Or, you can even be traveling with it on a pass, like you put it on your bag and you go with it. Other things you can have on that journal, you can have diagnosis. So before we move on diagnosis, just go down there. There is a red button at the bottom. Just press it as subscribe so that you can know more about what we are talking about. So let's get back onto diagnosis. So diagnosis, what are diagnoses? Diagnosis is any problem you usually have, or any sickness you ever had since you are young. It might be active, it might be inactive. So on this channel, we have talked of different types of diseases. So I can start there. I can say, if I have hypertension, or if I had hypertension before and now I don't have it, you can include it there and say, okay, nowadays I don't take medication for hypertension, but there was a time I used to have it. Or if I was diabetic, let's say you had type 2, because type 2, you get it, but type 1, you are born with it, so you will always have it. So you can have two sections. Say I have type 1 diabetes. Those who have type 2, they can also include it, that it's active on them. But let's say type 2, you are able to do what is supposed to be done, so that, maybe at a certain type, it went down, you are not using medication for that, you have been exercising, your weight is good, and it's like you don't have it. But there was a time you are either pre-diabetic or you had the type 2 diabetes. So you can also include on that section. And on that section, you can also include all the other, conditions you have, or any other disease you ever had since you are young. Some people, sometimes we don't have the history of when we are young, but at least at certain time, maybe somebody told you, or your parents, when you are this age, you are sick like this and like that. So at least you have an idea. Okay, when I was at age 4, I had smallpox or measles or cholera or any other type of disease. So you can put it there, because we know some of the diseases, they come and go. But there are some diseases, if you had them and they are treated and they went, but they might have damaged a part of your body. Like now we are talking of COVID, or let's say like if somebody, when they were young, they had asthma. and maybe they have overgrown asthma. But sometimes the asthma leaves some scars on their lungs. So that's why everything is important to have that history of all the diagnoses you have ever had. If you ever had pneumonia, if you ever had typhoid, as much as you can remember, as much as you have that history, you can also have those are diagnoses, and we have a list of them. There are many. Since let's say you are 40, you are 50, you are 60, at that time, if you never had any kind of diagnosis, then you are lucky. But even having a normal cold, it is important to write it. If you remember, when I was age 12, I had this kind of a cold. I was treated this way. So it's always good to put it somewhere. And then you can also write any types of surgeries, starting from the minor surgeries. Let's say you had a growth on your skin somewhere, and the doctor went and cut it. That's a type of a surgery. So you can put it down. Anybody who had eye surgery, put it down there. If you had like cesarean surgery for people who give birth, just put it there. If you had, any types of surgery, there are so many types of surgery. Since you are young, there are those people who had even PVD. When they were born, the heart, maybe the blood was mixing this way and this way, so they were done something. So just put it as much as you can remember. As much as your parents, your people, your doctor, your friends tells you, just write, even if it's vague, you cannot remember it well, just write it somewhere. And for the kids we are having now, it's good to start a journal for them. It's just like the way we say, how let me go back to how much is in my bank, how many clothes I have, how I'm living. So even medical wise, your health, it should be on top of your hands, because health is very, very, very important. People who are healthy now might think that health is not important because they are not facing. But when you are sick is when you start realizing, I needed to know. If I knew this at certain age, or if I knew this, then I would have taken care of myself well. Let's say like today, if you are trying to tell somebody, stop smoking, somebody who is healthy, I'm just giving an example, it will be different with telling somebody who has emphysema or who has COPD, who has smoked for 40 years. The same information you tell the person who is sick and the person who is healthy smoking, they will take it differently. But that person who has COPD because of smoking, chain smoking for many years, if there was somebody who had told them when they were young, when they were healthy and smoking cigarettes, maybe they would have changed their mind, or they would have seen things on a different ways. Let's say like somebody who has COPD right now, they're already so much, after 40 years of smoking, they are so much addicted. Even to leave smoking, it's like another problem. And yet, when you have COPD, sometimes you need oxygen to breathe, or your lungs are so scarred or messed up. But the healthy person who is smoking today, if they have an idea what will happen in 40 years, then they might change the way they live. Just like the way we say, okay, you have to start cutting your calories, or you have to do like this so that you don't get diabetes. So if somebody was eating simple sugars, carbs a lot now, and somebody tells you maybe when you do like this, you add too much weight, you take a lot of sugars, you are overworking your pancreas. One day, it might not be producing the insulin, the insulin which goes to the blood to take that sugar back onto the cells. When you have an idea that that's how diabetes can be, then when you are young or when you are healthy, when you hear that, it might not trigger. You might say, oh, I don't have much weight. My body needs these things. I feel like I want to eat. I want to smoke. I'm healthy. What is she talking about? But let me tell you, if you keep a journal, you'll have an idea that if I smoke for too long, my lungs will not remain healthy as I am. So I'll be messing them. So it's always good to have a journal of all your diagnoses, all your surgeries. Then on the same journal, because most of conditions we usually get, most of sickness we usually have, most of them, if my parents had them, if most of them are hereditary, because when we look at it, we say such and such families, they usually have diabetes, such and such families, their grandmother died because of cardiac issues, he had a stroke, the son died of stroke, the grandfather died of stroke. So it's always on this journal. You write about also your parents, the diagnosis they had, and your grandparents, your sisters and brothers have an idea of like my family, what do they usually suffer from? Because we are all different. Our genes are all different. People from a certain area also have different things. So it's always good to have a journal, which you can refer to, just like the way you have a statement for your bank. If like you go to a banker and you're looking for money to be loaned to you, they'll go to the history. So even medical wise, it's always good to have something similar to that, where let's say when I was young, I had this kind of a problem, If you write it somewhere and then when you grow older, you have a similar situation or something close to that, and it's written down, you'll have it on your journal. When you go to a specialist, then they will be able to relate, because all fields of medical, they relate to each other. So like some people, they say, oh, okay, I saw a doctor for my heart. But let's say they go to see another kind of a doctor. That other doctor have no idea that you are being seen for something else. So it's always good to have a journal of your own. You might say, okay, I have a personal doctor, he knows me, but nobody knows you than how you know yourself. So it's always good to know yourself, because while we talk about medical, while we talk about all these people, the scientists who are trying to find out, let's say like a mutation of COVID or whatever, you are the first one who knows your medical issues more than yourself, because you are the one who is carrying that body. So if let's say like I usually get a cut and I don't have a diagnosis of anything, but when I have a cat, it takes long for it, to crawl, to stop breathing. and nobody has ever told you anything. Somebody else, even your doctor, might not even know. And how many times do we even see the doctors? How many times do we see the doctors? Ourselves, your body, you see your body daily. If you are born, I don't know how many years ago, every day you know your body. Every day you know the pain you go through. Any day you know the sickness you have. So you are your own first medical campaigner for yourself. So it's always good to have a note. It might look strange, but it's always good to know yourself. Just like the way you have a bank statement, you can go back to it and say, okay, such and such a day I withdrew this money, such a day I bought this, such and such a day I deposited this. It's the same concept for your medical. So make sure you have a journal for your health. We might say, oh, we have so much going on in the world. I have so much going on. I can't even have something else. But let me tell you, before we never used to have all these things, technology, but we have adopted to technology, right? You can say, okay, we never used to have a menu on what to eat, but today we are trying to follow like a menu, right? So even medical-wise, we are supposed to embrace it. And there is nothing wrong with knowing yourself. Let me tell you, it's a good thing to know how your body functions, so that even when you go with a certain condition, you won't be misdiagnosed. You won't be treated the way it is not supposed to be treated. You will be helping that other person who is helping you. Because when you come with knowledge of your body, you know, you say, okay, I'm feeling like this, I'm feeling like this. So the person who is tackling your issue, it will be easy than them trying to find out what happened to this person or what's the issue with this person. So when you have an idea, when you know what it is, then it becomes easier. So as we are continuing on having a medical journal for ourselves, don't forget to go down there, see that red ravish button, press it and subscribe, and then you can comment there on how to keep a medical journal. As we continue on, the other thing which I would advise you to have is on this journal, have an area where you can talk of any person you have seen in the past. Maybe even when you are a baby. Okay, I saw, this kind of a doctor. Okay, when I was young, I was able to see a neurologist. So in that way, you'll know why was I seeing the neurologist, even if the sickness or the condition you had was treated, because it can recur. Because when you're very young, you get, like the way we say asthma, people get it when they are young. When you are in your youth and also on middle age, you don't have it. Then when you get older, then it comes back. So it's always good to have that. So you can say, okay, I visited a neurologist. Why was the neurologist? You can even have a paragraph. Why was I seeing this neurologist? Or I started seeing neurologists on this date and I was discharged on this date. All types of people you used to see. Other people, it's not only doctors. You can say, okay, when I was at this age, I used to see a nutritionist. Why was I seeing a nutritionist? Okay, at this time, I used to see a speech therapist. Why? Maybe my talking was derailed. My speech was derailed. At this time, I would be sent to see this kind of a doctor, a cardiologist, maybe my heart or my valve or something like that had an issue. And that's why I was seeing them. If you are still seeing them up to today, just write it somewhere. Just write it. It's ongoing and it's because of this condition. If you are discharged, write the reason why you are discharged or what happened. Have a history of your own. Just know all the doctors you see, all the specialty you see, or maybe you are sent to a nutritionist to help you, guide you on what to be eating. Let's say you are diabetic. So you are sent to the nutritionist to help you know what kind of foods I'll be eating or how I'll be cutting my weight. Or I'm seeing an endocrinologist because I'm diabetic, or I'm seeing an ophthalmologist because I have eye issues. I was born with an eye problem, or I'm diabetic because other conditions, other diseases, you have to see many other specialists. Because I'm giving an example with diabetes. So for diabetes, we usually see the primary care doctor or PCP or other places they call them my personal doctor. Then from there, you usually see endocrinologist. That's the specialty for the diabetes doctor. And it's good also to have an idea, the names of the doctors for what reason or for whatever condition. Then I'm giving an example with diabetes. You also supposed to see a foot doctor, or a skin specialist, because you get, that disease and its process, it can make your feet, you might get a skin tear and you don't know it, and soon you have a wound. Or your eyes have a problem because you are diabetic. So, and then you need a nutritionist to be teaching you on how to eat when you are diabetic. So it's a chain of many. So if you are seeing a certain kind of a doctor at whatever age or whatever time, just write it. Have a history of it. I'm seeing this doctor up to now. I'm seeing a nutritionist at this time. Or I used to see a nutritionist like this, then I was discharged. Or I was sent to the eye doctor and I decided it's too much for me. I don't care. I'm seeing well, So if you write it down and you develop a certain kind of an issue, when you visit a doctor with a certain problem, then it becomes easier because they will take it and they will read it. If you organize it very well, even when you present it to your doctor or to whoever or to your family member, you have an idea. Even yourself, you start knowing yourself better. So you'll know, okay, when I added 5 pounds, like now is, if I added 5 pounds, I started feeling some pain on my, on near my chest. Maybe that was the GERD. You develop GERD, or you are having chest pain. So at least you'll have an idea, and because there are some people they know. Even I have a friend of mine, she's pre-diabetic, but when she adds a lot of weight, so she starts going back to insulin and all that. There are others, like Cash, you tell me like, when I exercise a lot, I don't have weight, then I forget about diabetes medications. So that is somebody who has learned part of her body. So some of these things, the doctor will not tell you because the doctor is not there with you all the time. The doctor doesn't know what is going on. Even I have some people I know, they tell me when I usually add 5 pounds, oh, my knees starts paining. So maybe that's somebody who has arthritis. And then, like, I had a discussion with one of them, and I said, so have you ever thought of asking your doctor to give you a referral to go and see an orthopedic or somebody who can, diagnose you with whatever, like you have an idea. I'm not saying we become doctors, but I'm saying have like an idea, because that person went and actually she was diagnosed with arthritis, and there are so many types of arthritis. There is arthritis, there is rheumatoid arthritis, but her, it was osteoarthritis. So it's always good to have an idea. Even there are some people, when we are growing up, they never took any milk, which was a good source of calcium. Nowadays, they are losing their teeth, their bones are breaking. So when already that when I was young, I never took things like calcium. People who they have an allergy for milk or they don't like it, so their bones are not strong. So when you are growing up like that, you know yourself. Nobody will know about that apart from maybe your parents or your sister or yourself. But you are your own advocate. So let's say you never had the enough calcium. So when you grow a little older, you will know how to start tackling that problem. You'll even start having supplements to help you be able to tackle that area. Like, let's say your family, they usually get, asthma. So you'll always be checking that you don't get asthma, So it's always good to all the time have an idea of your history, where you are coming from, your hereditary, yourself, what you have gone through. Because even people who are born by the same mother, the same father, they might have lived in a different area, or their body might have reacted on a different things. So it's always good to know your medical history, to know your diagnosis, to know your surgeries. And then when we are still moving on, just go down there and press the red button and subscribe. And then the other thing we'll talk about is medications. So let's say you have some medication you are taking. Have an area where you write all your medications, just in case, even let's say you are moving somewhere or something happened to where you live. At least you have an idea. Okay, I usually take this diabetes medication, I take this hypertension, and all the supplements you take, because they are also like medicine, all the pain medication you take, even over the counter, just have a list of it. So that even if you don't know why you take them, when you give it to somebody, they have an idea of why does she take that medication. Or let's say you started taking some herbal drinks long time ago when you are young, and you continue, because some of the foods we eat, some of them are herbal. So at least you have an idea. So like now during COVID time, we are saying we are taking ginger, we are taking garlic. Have a section where you write, I take this, I take these herbal things, I take these supplements. Like I've just talked about those people who don't have enough calcium. Maybe they are taking calcium supplements. Just write it somewhere there. If you are taking garlic, just write it somewhere. If you are taking medication prescribed by a doctor, just write it somewhere. If you are taking pain medication you buy over the counter, just write, okay, I'm taking Tylenol, or I'm taking Panadol, or I'm taking whatever medication it is. Then also have a place where you can have like 3 days of like the diet you eat. You can say in the morning, I usually take a cup of coffee. generally, I know different days you have different things, but we are usually sometimes on a routine. So I usually take 1 egg after a week. I usually take a slice of bread. For lunch, I usually take this. For snack, I usually take this. For dinner, I usually take this. For drinks, I usually take fresh juices because, on this channel, we have been championing on having fresh juices from the fruits. Also write, okay, if you take alcohol, how many days do you take alcohol and how much alcohol do you take? Just have a specification on like 3 days. When I wake up, I usually have these types of breakfast. So I usually have some protein, some eggs. I usually have some vegetables in the morning. And you can even write the time you usually take your breakfast, the time you usually take the next snack, the time you take lunch, the time you take dinner. Just have it on your journal. And this journal gonna be many pages because we'll be talking and talking more of, whatever is supposed to be on your journal. You can even tailor it according to yourself, but try to include the food you eat, what is in your menu, so that even, let's say you have a condition or a disease, which, like you have an allergy of something, when you indicate what you usually have, when you go opposite of the norms, if there is an allergic reaction or something new, you obviously know this is what caused this, because this I have not been having this and I have never had this kind of reaction. So it's always good to have a journal. You can also have a journal on the same area. Just write, how many hours do I sleep at night? I know this one is a tough one, but just say, okay, I usually go to bed at this time. I usually have this routine. I usually sleep these hours before I wake up. How many times do I get up to go use the bathroom? What time do I wake up? So you can be able even to see how many hours do I sleep in a day? How many times do I take to rest? It's like we are talking on schedules, but just have an idea. Let's say you have a headache or something, and then you go to the doctor and he asks you, how many hours did you sleep at night? And then you don't have an idea because maybe you woke up, you slept late. It's always good to have a routine or to have an idea, like in a week, how many hours do I sleep? Okay, during the day, do I take a break in between? Do I rest? Do I have a siesta? Do I, when I exercise, have another part? Do you exercise? In a week, how many times do you exercise? Do I exercise every day? Every other day? And what kind of exercises do I do? Do I do cardio? Do I do running? Whatever it is, just have a section of that. And we are coming to an end on that episode. And don't forget to subscribe. This is True Living Show, which airs every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern African time and 12 noon Eastern time. Don't forget to subscribe, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.